Once again, welcome back to the program. एक ऐसी सीरीज शुरू की थी जिस ਵਿੱਚ ਸੈਕਸ ਐਂਡ ਸਪਿਰਿਟ ਸੀਰੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਅਧੀਨ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਟੈਬੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਤੇ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਜਾਗਰੂਕਤਾ ਆਏ ਕਿ ਸੈਕਸ ਇੱਕ ਗਲਤ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਲਾਈਨ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਸਪਿਰਿਚੁਅਲਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੈਲੀ ਮੌਂਗਾਜ਼ੇਬ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਮਾਸਟਰ ਫੈਸਿਲਿਟੇਟਰ ਹਨ, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਇਆ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਪਿਛਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਸਮਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਇਨਫਲੂਐਂਸਿਸ ਇੰਨੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਧ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਸੈਕਸ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਟੈਬੂ ਵਜੋਂ ਜੋ ਸਮਝਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਕਾਰਨ ਪ੍ਰੋਮਿਸਕਿਊਟੀ, ਇਨਫਿਡੈਲਿਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਪੋਰਨੋਗ੍ਰਾਫੀ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰੋਕ ਲਿਆਈ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਜੇਕਰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੇਤਨਾ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਅਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਦੋਂ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ, ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਮਿਲੇਗੀ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਅਲਾਈਨ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਆਪਣੇ ਸਪਿਰਿਟ ਨੂੰ, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਹੱਲ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਲੱਭਿਆ ਜਾਵੇਗਾ। ਆਓ ਮੁੜ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਮਿਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੈਲੀ ਮੌਂਗਾਜ਼ੇਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਉਣਗੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਲਚਰ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਓਪਰੈਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਸੈਕਸਿਜ਼ਮ ਨੂੰ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਐਕਟੀਵਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰੋਕਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਘਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਆਓ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੈਲੀ ਮੌਂਗਾਜ਼ੇਬ ਨਾਲ। Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Harpreet.
So last time what we discussed was, I was just telling in Punjabi about what we had talked about. So if you could just sum it up in English and let us know that the basic foundation what we had laid was that our society is in crisis today.
Yes.
And we are not ready to acknowledge it, but
Right.
we find it in the form of rapes, we find it in the form of promiscuity, infidelity, and when things come out, whether it is somebody who is at the top or who is at the bottom, you know, this is becoming a major issue which needs to be addressed, and that's what I talked about. So if you could just sum up in few words and let us know that what are the major things what we talked last time, and today you're going to focus upon how culture oppresses this particular thought. Let's go ahead.
Well, I think you've summed it up well. You know, we've talked about how we are in crisis, and it doesn't matter what culture you come from.
Right.
We have a history of oppression and shame, and it's a difficult subject for us to talk about and to find our voice in.
Right.
So today we will talk about how culture suppresses sexuality and some of the attitudes that exist that
Right.
are damaging. Yeah.
And again, the family, like last time you touched one point and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. You had talked about that financial implications are there and persons go out and the families get split. But, you know, it's quite shocking that at one hand, a person, I had the opportunity to talk to former madams who were running brothels and who came here and talked about things,
Right.
whereby they told us that from even South Asian culture, we have men coming over there who don't mind spending $500 to $1,000 a night.
Right.
And where did that money come from? But for the family, that money is not there. So, so that they might go into debt also for that.
Sure.
And it's again quite strange that in our culture, especially our religion, Sikh religion, it has been said that except for your wife, consider everyone else your mother, daughter, or sister, which has been written down.
Right.
So, but despite all this, that lip service of religion coming forward and talking about these things which are talked in the temples only, but in the practical life, things are different. So if you can just talk a little bit about this, that hypocrisy, that you want to show yourself, present yourself as religious also, you go to a church on Sunday, you go to a temple also, but in your mind, at the back of your mind, all this is quite heavy. So what is the reason for this you find, and is it that from our upbringing these issues were not discussed and we have been just influenced by the materialistic things that make us go into all this, or there are some other reasons also?
Well, I think it speaks to the human struggle, that we are spiritual beings, but we have this physical body that needs to be fed. It has a sex impulse, and to suppress the sex impulse doesn't work. Many cultures suppress sexuality.
Right.
So we're not supposed to feel it. We're not supposed to do it. We're not supposed to enjoy it. We're not supposed. We're not supposed to. We're not supposed. You know, there's a lot of
lots of knots.
There's a lot of knots. So it's suppressed.
Right.
And then suppressed sexuality in a person becomes reactive. So it's got to come out somewhere, and it's often coming out in ways that are unhealthy.
Right.
You know, the issue that you spoke of men procuring prostitutes and so on, that can be an addiction. It can
also,
be a progressive addiction where they're spending money. I mean, we know that many kinds of addiction can be disastrous for family life, for their financial life, for their relationships and their position in their society. You know, it can be completely devastating. sex addiction is no different. And it's probably one that carries the most taboo and the most shame.
Right.
So where does the money come from? You know, an addict will do just about anything. To make it happen.
That's
so
very true.
It's the same thing.
That's very true. In all the cultures, it's the
Yeah.
same. And like we find that lots of religious leaders have also been caught and exposed. Similarly, even in our culture also we find lots of these, in quotes, holy men who claim to be holy have been caught and they have been exposed.
Yeah.
But still the people, you know, it's still they have, they're still going to them, and they are being protected because they have the money, they have the power. So that is it. Nevertheless, so culture, how would you like to explain today about the cultural aspect as to how this further, you know, suppresses sexuality?
Well, over time, we take on certain attitudes from our culture. I mean, there is no denying that the individual impacts the culture that they live in, and the culture impacts the individual as we're growing up. So again, it's to start to just look objectively, not with a lot of emotion, but just look at what are some attitudes that we've been raised with? What are attitudes that I've been influenced by? You know, are they helping me to have a good relationship or not? You know, where cultures have attitudes and beliefs, and it can be very overt, but it can also be very insidious. Like it can kind of be everywhere, these ideas. For example, a man's right to overpower or to, you know, a sense of entitlement. That can be, pardon me, part of a culture, and a young man being influenced by that and not even realizing he's really being influenced by that. He grows up and gets married and then finds that he is being, you know, he's not treating his wife well, but he's been impacted and influenced by all these ideas and embrace them as being normal and the correct way. So again, we're at a stage in our humanity collectively where we need to realize that we have old, outworn ideas that are based on immaturity, really. That's what it is. So we mustn't, I think it helps not to blame ourselves individually. We have to create space to see, where are we? How did we get here? And for those people, and it's not everyone, for those people who do want to further align themselves and heal some of this, to change their behavior, to have some transformation in their lives, you know, to take this on and begin looking honestly at, you know, what has their history been and where are they now, and where do they want to go? Are they happy? Probably not. Okay, what do we need to do to
go further?
Yeah, and to have that peace of mind that you know we all want, and that sense of integrity that we've talked a lot about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And here, you know, when you talk about cultures, in the South Asian culture, there have been lots of news about marital rapes. And because you deal with the public and talk to them. So if you can, you know, address this particular viewpoint, is this quite prevalent in the mainstream community also? And because, as you said, a man has that power and he feels entitled to do whatever he wants, and the woman is just at the mercy of the man.
Right. So again, it's long-standing issues. Perhaps in some cultures it's more prevalent than others, but I think the issue of equality of men and women, of women having a voice, feeling that they can speak their truth when it comes to sexuality, we're just learning to do that. We're at the very beginning. All the clients that I work with, the women, this is a major issue. Doesn't matter which culture they come from, is that they don't feel that they have a voice. It's difficult for them to express. And there's a real catch-22, because women don't want to be perceived as a woman that we see out there. We don't want to be sexualized, but when they start to discover sexual wellness and what that might look like for them, they realize, you know, I want to be sexual. I want to have a good sexual relationship with my husband and my partner, which means I need to, in some ways, embrace my sexuality and feel good about that and allow myself space to be that. The problem is, as soon as a woman steps into that space, they themselves, as well as the man, starts to see them as that sexualized, dirty raunchy, you know.
Right.
It's like these, again, we compartmentalize. So we have work to do, both men and women.
Right.
To recognize, and I think this is the key thing that's going to help us, is to say that there is a place where sexuality and spirituality overlap. And you know, part of that is recognizing that both men and women have a right to a healthy sexual life. And I have a quote I'd like to read in a moment. And that respect and dignity is at the basis. Right. So neither of us are asking each other to do anything that is going to infringe on that dignity. You know, we'll talk in future episodes about pornography, but pornography, it's shown, studies have shown that men's idea of what sexuality should look like is very much influenced by pornography.
Absolutely, yeah. And about the sexual health, this definition, I would like after this break, if you could tell us in details, the World Health Organization has talked in details about it. So we'll talk about this after this break.
Thank you.